How does this thing go again? All right, we'll start the Planning Commission meeting. It's a special meeting, I guess. Anyway, it's 6:34. Thank you. Roll call, no secretary? Tampoco. All right. We'll acknowledge that on the,
Well, just say, just noting for the record, the absence of the commission, the chairman. We'll note that
yes,
for the record.
Chairman Rodriguez. Okay, thank you. All right, so everybody else is present, including the presence of Mr. Morales and Mr. Vasquez. Notice this is a public meeting. Appropriate public decorum is observed. If you wish to speak regarding any item on the agenda, please wait until the item is under discussion. The chairman will request comments during that item. Approach microphone and state purpose of your concerns. If you wish to address the commission on any item not on the agenda, you may do so during the public comment portion of the agenda. So we have a call to order at 6:34. Ms. Felix, will you please lead us with the Pledge of Allegiance?
Ready? Begin.
Okay, we've already have the roll call taken. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Second.
Approved by Commissioner Usan, second by Commissioner Felix. Again, we'll go to public comments, non-agendized items. 3 minutes. Please read and complete a speaker's form at the podium prior to the start of the Planning Commission meeting. There doesn't appear to be any.
Do we have somebody taking notes on these? Yes. Perfect, good.
Should I speak? Should I speak a lot slower? Or? All right. Okay, the first item there is no one coming forward for public comments. We'll go to consent items 1 and 2. Is there a motion for these two items?
So move.
I'll second.
Okay, so moved by Commissioner Usan, second by Commissioner Felix. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous 4-0 with Chair Rodriguez not present. We go to number 3, information/discussion, no official action to be taken. A, general plan update. Mr. Morales?
Second to get organized here. On the general plan update, back in, what was it? In January 2013, the city had received an award for the Sustainable Community Planning Grant. And basically what that covered was part of the general plan. There were some items that it had to cover, which included the draft of the agricultural element, the climate action plan, and the final quarterly plan report. So there were some part of the information that goes into the general plan was put together in that grant. That application was brought to both the Planning Commission and the City Council for review. It wasn't brought upon the neither Commission or the City Council for approval, as it had to go to the state for review and for their approval. Once that it was done, or once it's closed out at the state level, then what will happen is that at that point, then city staff will commence in updating the general plan using some of the information from the sustainable community planning grant that will be part of the general plan. At this point right now, staff, Rosalinda Guerrero, who went ahead and did the closeout on that, sent it to the state. It is at the state level. We're awaiting the state to send the city something in writing to indicate that the grant has been closed out and that everything is okay. So with that in mind, there was also a letter, and I think that was put into your packet, which indicates some of the things that our engineer at that time that was here, he had written to the state, and the thing, and it showed an outline as to what was the steps that are going to be taken. And so, again, let me see if I can find that. I'm trying to find it here. Section 2. Oh. Give me a second. Oh, here we go. Yeah, this was, I don't know, I'm trying to find a date. But anyway, at that time, Nick Servin had sent a letter to the State of California Governor's Office of Research and Planning. And then in there, it shows an outline as to the steps of the housing element, showing that in January 2016, a series of meetings and workshops would be held by the Planning Commission to consider the specifics of each element. And this had to do with the completion of the draft update, the general plan, compromise of 7 mandatory elements, 3 optional elements, and adding a new agricultural element. So at this point, before staff can commence, we're waiting for the state to approve the report that has been provided. Once the city receives that, then we will commence forward. What will probably happen is we'll be sending out a RFP to update the general plan, and also, most important, find out whether the city has enough funding to move forward on the updating of the general plan.
Whatever was presented to Sacramento, was there any review of the contents by the Planning Commission?
It was brought to the Planning Commission, yes.
Back when? On the,
It was brought to the Planning Commission.
oh, the one on the 14th of September?
Yes, I think around that period of time. It came to the Planning Commission from
But that
the
was
Planning
more like a
Commission.
discussion item.
Excuse me?
I remember that was more of a discussion item.
Yeah, it wasn't approval. It didn't need approval from neither the planning nor the city council. It was sent to the state for their review and approval on it. At the time that, once the state approves the documentation, the report that's been put together, at that time, it will be brought back to the Planning Commission to see which of the items they want to utilize, what direction they want to go with this report. At this time, it was just a report that was sent to the state just to indicate that the city had gone through this process, and so that they could see that the city was moving forward on the general plan. So it is correct, it was not approved, and it still does have to come back once the state says that it's been completed.
Well, I'm just reading on the attachment that you included with overview of Calexico Planning Commission duties. The very first line says, prepare, periodically review, revise as necessary the general plan. So it goes back to the question. One thing, there'd be discussion, but was there any you might say, presentation of what the city was going to present.
Because
Because according to this, it says the
Yeah.
planning commission had a right to,
at that time, we had a Mr. Ralph Castaneda, who was a consultant, put together. He gave a presentation to the planning commission as well as to the council.
okay? Commissioners?
I only have one question. When was this letter sent to the state? Because there's no date on the letter from the city.
Well,
When did the 30
I-
days
yeah.
review process begin? And then-
Well, the 30-day review process at the state level, is that what you're?
Well, when was the letter sent? To the
I don't have, this is documentation, or correspondence that I found in the engineer's office. So I have no idea when it was sent, but to the state.
Mark,
This is
you don't have anything?
probably between September 2015 and January 2016.
Yeah, that's
Well, that's a guesstimate. It could have been done.
Yeah, because it says in September 2015, the city completed the draft, and then it says in January, the city of meeting and workshop will be. So it must be between September 2015 and January 2016.
Okay, with that reasonable guesstimate, again, there's nothing that could have been brought to this planning commission for its review?
Well, what was brought to the planning commission was the grant, the sustainable grant that was made available to the state for their review. And like I said before, there's nothing that is being brought to the planning commission right now at this point until we commence with the updating of the general plan. The sustainable grant was more for the state to get that information. So this is more of a draft in the sense where it will be, there may be some changes to it and things that are added to it. This is a working pattern more than anything else.
Anything else, commissioners?
We're still on the draft. So,
This is just the beginning of putting together the general plan, so by no means is this the general plan.
no, we understand that.
Uh-huh.
We were just wondering what was the status, because Nick being gone,
Uh-huh.
out of the picture, we didn't know who took over engineering, who finished his paperwork, or was doing his reports, that he was supposed to follow up and report back to us.
Yeah.
Because if you read it, it's a draft. So
Yeah.
anything that is finalized has to be presented back to us.
Exactly.
That's our understanding.
Yes.
That's what the whole questioning was all about, is
Yeah.
who is taking over, who's taking care of the projects that were left
Well,
unfinished, or incomplete, or in the process by Mr. Servin.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that,
there-
since we didn't get a memo
Yeah.
saying so is taking over, or so is assuming the responsibilities, neither their council, reported that to staff. We needed to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's basically it.
And the thing is that at this point right now, the responsibility is being divided into different departments. I assist in part of it, and Nick Finley, the interim city manager, is also taking part of it. They are in the process right now of putting some RFPs for engineers, or I think they've gotten some RFPs and engineers. So at this point, once they get the engineers, there'll be consultants, and it'll be up to the city manager to decide who's going to do what. At this point, as far as the housing element, then the city manager will make that decision as to who will get the housing element and run with it.
Now, I guess it's a matter of procedures, and one time I asked Director Servin at one, it has to do with the sequence. The city of Calexico must have, I'll say, someone as a role of engineer to quantify everything that is being put in the general plan preparation. A civil engineer, at least. I don't think it requires the other one. Is that what this other person is? Mr. Castañeda, whatever his name is?
Mr. Castaneda is a consultant, he's more of an environmental or planning consultant more than anything
He's
else.
a planning consultant.
And basically what he did is he put the grant together and utilized the information. that
But
was
wouldn't it
required.
require any kind of engineering input, being that certain things should be going in a certain way, and obviously the engineer is the one that can say yes, no, maybe
Well,
so?
when the grant was being put together, then we did have an engineer on board. We had Nick Servin, who was an engineer. He was the one that reviewed and commented on the application and information that was put together. There were staff meetings that was held between the different departments to acquire the necessary information. At this point, once it goes out for an RFP, then depending who the new engineer that's on board, well, that will be the person that will start providing the information and that is required to put the final document together. At this point, it's true, we don't have an engineer, but there will be someone on board by the time the RFP goes out and they start updating the general plan.
So the RFP can't go on until the engineer's on board?
Well, the RFP could go out and to start getting proposals. We're hoping that between the period that the state sends us the written closeout letter saying that everything's okay, that they, give their blessing, to the point that it goes for an RFP, then we should have an engineer on board. I do know that RFPs were acquired, so staff or the city manager has to sit down and start reviewing those RFPs to select whoever the engineer, whether it's one or two engineers that the city will be using. And one of those engineers that they do acquire or contract with will be responsible for the general plan at that point.
And, Ralph, there's no, okay, let's assume this was sent back, maybe 3-4 months ago. There's no follow-up on this letter or sent another letter?
My discussion with Rosa today is that she did call, because we had a conversation last week, and I asked her what the status was on the closeout. She told me that she had sent it in probably about 30, 60 days earlier. She did make a call. Today she informed me that the state reviewed it. They didn't, there was no findings in there, everything was okay. But still, you have to get the letter to make it official. So that's where we're at this point for them to send the letter. But according to what Rosalind had told me, that the application that was sent in, the information, has been approved by the state.
You keep mentioning her name, and I don't recall ever being informed of this, but what role is Rosalind Guerrero in this?
Well, basically, in the beginning, it was, if you remember, the housing manager at that time was Terry Nava.
Right.
She's the one that started working with this application. From there, it jumped from her to Julio Osuna.
Okay?
And basically, what Rosalind did more than anything else, she did the closeout. So putting all the final documentation together and reports to the state so that the state would then do the final closeout on it. So I think Rosalind did have a part on it and working and getting some of the information, as well as Julia and Osuna. They all work with it along with the different departments. As to what the main role was of Rosalind, then I'm really not sure. I am dealing with her now because she's doing the closeout. I'm not trying to say that she did or put the application together, but she is the person now that is responsible for the closeout. So it very well could be that she got it at the tail end, at the closeout, and that's all she's doing.
So she has not been assigned to planning?
She is not assigned to planning.
She's under economic development.
She's under
Housing.
housing and economic development.
With Julia?
She's under Julia, yes.
Okay.
So what is Ross's title? Legally? Can someone
I don't
get it?
know. I don't know what her
I have a
title is.
concern, though, because this is a very technical and delicate document, as you guys know.
Yeah.
The person who's taking over this load of work is not a certified planning director, nor a certified engineer. If state has questions regarding any of these elements, I'm not talking about housing, I'm talking about any of the subject matters on the general plan, who will legally be entitled to answer that? Because not even our interim city manager is an engineer.
I mean, you'll definitely appoint a person at the city level, whether or not you do it in-house or you bring in a consultant to do,
But
you
we
know.
don't have one on board.
Correct.
So-
You'll need to bring somebody on board because
I
there'll
would
be
think that would have
environmental.
been
It was-
priority.
It would end up being a planning consultant that will put it together. Usually the general plan, that's what they do. They
Right.
get a consultant.
I understand
and
that,
would
but
be
it's,
the individual.
the consultant prepares it, puts it together, packs it, and ships it back to the city. Now, it's the city's responsibility to have someone as staff to take over that and foresee whatever it is that is the city wish list or whatever is needed in that report. And Nick is not here, and he was a person who was supposed to be doing that. And next to Nick was Mr. Vasquez. But we don't, that's the question.
Well, the thing is that the consultant that comes aboard, then the consultant will give you a finished document. Now, their responsibility and what they're going to do is they will meet with the different departments to get all the input that's required from fire, police, building, planning, engineering, and so on. It is true that there are items that the engineer needs to review and ensure that that information is correct and that will go through. That's where, again, the engineer that they hire, that will be part of that responsibility that would fall upon the engineer because he will be working under the city. And so that one of his responsibilities is to assure that whatever goes into the general plan will be something that will benefit the city and something that will be correct. So it is correct, we don't have permanent individuals in that capacity, but unfortunately, we're going to have to do what's second best, and that's to bring in consultants. Usually for the general plan, that's what you do anyway. You bring in a consultant, and they work with you, and they're the ones that will walk you through the whole process. They put the package together, and by the time it's completed, you have a finished document, a working document. But, and again, it's true, every department will review the item that falls under that responsibility, and so that they assure that whatever is put together is something that will work, again, for the city.
And then part of that process, you will also usually want to have study sessions with the planning commission, city council, so that way, you know, you also are inputting into the document the policy questions, right? There's a lot of policy implications that generally the planning commission will want to opine on, as well as the city council.
And that's the other thing, there will be public meetings and workshops that will be held with the planning commission and with the public to acquire all this information. So it's not going to be something that's going to be brought in through the back door, or not, that the planning commission is not going to be involved in. Planning commission will be involved in from the beginning to the end.
Yeah, because it says about a series of meetings started, they're supposed to have started January.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Lea.
Armando Real, 1213 Jasmine Street. I just wanted to address the board, and I know you guys have a lot of, things that you guys would like to have, like a city engineer, people working on parks, but, I can tell you that from my understanding is a city manager or interim city manager or acting city manager. Right now, he's not spending $1 on anything. And the reason is, the preliminary numbers, are looking at between 13-14 and 14-15, around $10 million in over expenditures. And, at least 1.6 to $2.3 million in the red. And so as of right now, I understand we need a lot of things. Our parks don't look good, but even 100 employees right now are being let go. That's correct, right? In other words, if he doesn't have to spend $1 right now, he's not going to. And the train of thought there is that even though you guys are right, we might not be taking steps forward, well, at least we're not taking steps back. And he is, as far as I'm concerned, a placeholder right now at the moment. And until, my understanding is the end of February is when they will close out the books. That's Mr. Gutierrez's timeline. And when that
He
is
has been
done.
saying in 2 weeks, in 2 weeks,
Well, it's-
in 2 weeks, in 2 weeks of all
It's-
the council meetings I attended.
Yeah, that's
And
the
I
same.
stopped attending so I wouldn't hear in 2 weeks.
That's the same thing I'm telling him, believe me. But, at least we have something tangible that he's giving us. When I took the seat, it'd been a year since financials. And I took the seat and it was 6 months since financials. We get to know now that this previous administration overspent at least $6 million. And so, like I said, just be patient. Believe me, I'm frustrated too. There's a lot of things that we should be doing that we can't because of the financial situation we find ourselves in. And so, believe me, it's very easy to say, well, you guys need a engineer. Well, yeah, we need that. We need a finance director. We need a city manager. We need parks people. We need a lot of things, obviously, but without money, you can't do that. So we need to find out where we're at. That's what I wanted to let you guys know before we do anything, so.
Thank you, sir. So with those comments, we can say that the general plan is in the back burner. We have no engineer. We cannot hire an engineer. We're not going to have an engineer anytime soon. The next best thing that can happen is that, is the grant, or was that grant already used?
This one?
That was a grant?
sustainable? Yeah.
So it's already used up
Oh, yeah, that grant is just for the sustainable.
for the preparation.
Yeah, preparation.
And submitting
Which
it.
it covers quite a few of what's in the general plan. So hopefully that when the RFP goes out to get a consultant to finish the updating, that the cost won't be as high to complete it. But again, like Councilmember Real brought out, it's money. So even if, are we even going to have money to do the updating of the general plan?
So that's why my statement is going to be placed in the back burner.
Yes. At this point, I would say yes until we get the letter and until I get further word from the city manager and see what he wants to do, what direction he wants to go.
So at this point, we don't even have money to hire the consultant who's going to take care of this puppy?
Well, I don't know.
So
We're
then,
stuck in-
so
we're
so are
stuck
we
in-
gonna do?
I really don't even know how much
so-
money I have.
So let
We're
me,
stuck in
so let me
neutral.
ask you, Ralph, if someone comes in with a project and they need a planner, an engineer to certify those plans, who will be
We
stamping?
go out and we will hire
How? We don't have
An
money.
engineer.
Councilman Leon just said there's no money. Nick will
Well,
not be spending a
that's
That's why
dime.
we're stuck in neutral. Yeah, pro bono.
no, basically, like
Start
anything, if
collecting
a
favors.
developer comes in and brings in plans, then he will pay the fees required to review those plans, and from there, then we would get an engineer to go ahead and review them. And, you're asking me these things, and believe me, I'm in a situation that I have a couple of plans right now. I'm not an engineer or by any means, but the thing is that I've got a couple of plans that needs to be stamped, and so that's where we're at right now. We do have money, I mean, for small projects and all that, but other than that, you know, those are questions that you're asking, I don't have the answer. I mean, only
no,
the council member could answer those as far as where the money
No
is coming
offense,
from.
yeah, no offense to the council, but I don't think you guys understand the importance of an engineer on board. Because if you're speaking about stimulating the economy and bringing in business, how when you don't have an engineer stamping those plans that he is saying they're sitting on his desk, and those plans are for businesses that will be improving the economy of the city. So in essence, having an engineer, it's essential for the city to function.
I completely agree with you. We just
So how can
actually,
you guys be sitting there counting pennies when you know we're missing a key staff member?
because at this point, we don't even know where we're
But,
at.
okay, so what happened to Mr. Servin's salary? Why can't you just give that money back to the new engineer that you will hire?
Because now we actually know we're in the deficit. And so we can't even give somebody their old salary because there's going to be pay cuts across the board. That's what it looks like. So, you know, like I said, I have been knocking at the finance director's door almost on a daily basis, where we're at, where are we? Because, you know, like I said, there's a lot of things that need to, you know, that we need to get. And just to give you an example, there's a 48, I think, housing development, the 48-unit housing development that fell through because the developers came in and, you know, they saw the situation, you guys don't have an engineer, you don't have, they took off. And so, yeah, we're losing business, correct, I agree with you 100%. And obviously, an engineer is definitely high on the list as far as what we need. And like I said, as far as I'm concerned, all we're waiting for is, you know, how deep are we? I mean, and we need to figure out what we're gonna do. I mean, whether we're $2-3 million in debt, in the red, I don't know. Right now, nobody knows. That's what we're trying to tell you. I mean, it's, you're welcome to come into the finance department and help us out.
By all means, if you guys don't give me the boot on the door, I'll be in finance department and helping you guys finishing it up because it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Not only that, you're forgetting a lot of these projects are federally funded. They have deadlines, and you must submit financial reports at the end of certain deadlines. If you don't have those reports ready, you will be sanctioned, or even worse, you will not be eligible to receive any of that money.
Well, as you know, right now, we can't get grants. I mean,
Or
there's-
grants, so why
or grants,
have,
yeah. So-
why have staff earning big, paychecks when they're not doing any work? Obviously,
Wow, that's
obviously.
the million-dollar
No,
question.
I mean, seriously.
We have
You have the
executive
staff, but
assistants of the
but you don't have
executive
the financial
assistants.
means to move forward with it.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yes.
And we're meeting because of why? You know,
Yeah.
we were asking for a meeting to discuss some of these issues, and the acting city manager said no, that wasn't justified, that the next meeting was going to be on the 14th, 15th, I mean?
No, this is a regular meeting.
Really? What's this, what was in the minutes?
the minutes call for a special meeting or
Yeah,
something.
that was last week, though.
That's the meeting that Mark canceled.
No, there was a note here. I didn't,
Yeah, I think the regular meetings are the second
maybe it
and
was in
fourth
your email.
Monday of each month.
Anyhow.
So this is a regular meeting.
So when are these
Okay.
RSPs going out?
Well, they can't
The
go out.
RPs have already been received by, they've been received.
Uh-huh.
So it's a matter of
The
them to be reviewed.
administration
Whoever's
just,
going to review them and evaluate them.
okay,
So that's where it's at. That is my understanding.
okay.
So what are we here for?
For an
We're giving updates, and one, we don't have money, so we can't move forward anyway.
Seriously?
I don't know,
like-
I mean, I have a question. Since Mr. Real's here, or Councilman Real's here. It's my understanding the city spent like $700,000 on those cameras for the city?
Actually,
710?
I think it was 600, around 600,000, and then
Well, and Mr. Yanes, how much was it?
there was a change order also for,
How much? How much? No, the cameras
No, the
for
camera
the
system
downtown. Do you
for-
know?
it's around $700,000. It's around $700,000.
So, you guys,
Who approved it? They approved cameras, but not changing it.
Council?
you guys had enough money to put these cameras in that are not working, that aren't manned, but, you know, should you guys have not thought of using that money to hire an engineer, or?
But that's through the
That's-
asset forfeiture funds.
That's the asset forfeiture
was the
funds.
asset forfeiture?
Yeah,
I
it cannot
personally
be
did
used for
not, I personally did not vote on that myself, but the council did approve it. Problem that we find now is that the $700,000 did not include
The maintenance?
no installation. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a mess, but like
That
I
was
said,
asset forfeiture, I mean, you can't touch it for this either way, but
Oh,
I
my
just
bad.
figured I asked.
yeah, it was,
Why is it
like I
here?
said, it's definitely an issue we're having now.
Mira.
And also, the meters from the water department, same thing. They purchased the wrong meters.
Well, that's
And
why
so-
I think the city engineer is no longer here,
That's like,
part of it.
I'm not gonna get into that, but, but yeah, we definitely have, you know, I would invite you guys to, the finance commission meetings. I mean, there was nobody here the last meeting that we had, and I think it's real important that, you know, you guys go and speak your mind there as well, because, you know, that's definitely where, the battleground is right now. It's in the finance, room. We're trying to figure out where we're at, like I said, so. You have another question or something?
No, we just wondering who got the beat on the cameras, but that's another issue.
Who got the bid? I'm not even sure. I don't know.
No, it's not.
Well, Commissioners, we're not going to get anywhere today with a general plan update, other than what we've already received. So we go to the next item?
Next item.
Mr. Rizan? We'll go to the next item?
Yes.
Authority to schedule or cancel a PC meeting when there are no business items.
I'll pass
City
it on
Attorney?
to the city attorney. Oh,
I mean, I guess staff wants to look at direction to the extent there's no business, whether or not to cancel a meeting, or, I mean, that's for your consideration. Yeah, I guess to the extent there's no business items that are timely, to what extent do you want authorized staff to go ahead and cancel the meeting, or to continue to hold the meeting and add items? It's for your consideration.
Well, one of the,
Or use that time for study sessions, for other sort of,
that would be good too.
yeah, so.
I mean, like, for example, the general plan that was presented that we didn't have an opportunity to look at, maybe it's something that on a future planning meeting, that's all we look at. Everything has to do with the general plan presentation. That's not a bad one. I mean, that's, as a planning commission, that's one of our primary responsibilities. And yet, we were just touching it on the surface.
Yeah, the housing element especially, because I don't see anything is built, they don't build anything in Calexico. On Colo, there was a project that started, just a wall built, there's a wall
Oh,
built,
yeah.
supposed to be a
Wall and,
gated community. I'd like to know what happened to this?
Barker.
Yeah.
Holden Barker.
What happened to this? What about future development in Calexico for housing? What is going on here? I mean, we have a project coming into the city as housing, commercial development. I hear about Peso Market becoming a Cardenas, Costco might be going to Vaughn's. I just hear rumor, but I don't hear it from staff. I'd like to know, to be more informed from staff, not from a rumor.
And for this item, I think the staff is looking for direction here is, obviously you meet twice a week under the municipal code, the second and fourth Monday. Obviously, I suspect at some meetings there are business items, and then there are other times where there aren't any business items. And to the extent that's the case, staff would like to get direction whether or not to still hold a meeting on those dates or to cancel it, and looking for that.
But there's also an opportunity to review items that have not been addressed, which has been requested by the commissioners.
Correct.
That's also a business-related item.
I can't go into detail on some of the projects that, that we're working on, but I can say that there is interest. I know that we've had some interest over on Walker in 98, that little, triangle section there. We had some people come in, they asked about that, what are the conditions there, what improvement needs to be done. I think there's, how many, you remember how many houses, Mark? About 30 to 40 houses that could go up there. So they come in, they ask questions, they want to know whether it's been mapped, what are the special conditions that are being required. We've had them come in. We've also had interest over on the corner of Cole and Andrade, which would be the northeast corner. And they came in, they looked at that, at those properties and even across the canal. We met with the developers on that property. I did meet today with an individual over at the Haciendas. I don't know whether you know where that is. That would be over on Cloak, behind the junior high. There's a strip of land there, and they're looking at that piece of land as well to build some houses. I think there's probably about 30 lots there that can be built. So there is interest. Again, on Cole Road, there's 2 lots over there on Cole Road that possibly there could be some rentals that could go up there. Again, there is interest. We don't have anything that's concrete at this time. Until they start coming in and start giving a deposit or start coming in and bringing plans, then all it is a project that they have on the drawing board. I've had some different owners in downtown that are interested in looking at possibly doing mixed use, whether the city would be interested in going that route. So we've been talking to those people. Interest is there. The million-dollar question is, how serious are they? Are they just coming in and looking, speculating as to what's there, what can be done? Our fees have gone down since the council went ahead and reduced the fees. Our building permit fees, they've gone down. I would say they're less than half than what they used to be. So that should be very something that's hopefully that will entice them. Unfortunately, impact fees went up, but there's an offset one with the other one. So there's a commercial strip also that I think there's developers that bought that and they're going to be renovating that strip. There's talk about possibly having a market like Cardenas, go in there. And so if that happens, then we're hoping that other businesses will come in. We met with the people from
The one near Walmart.
Grand Plaza.
No me acuerdo.
We should be getting plans hopefully within the next 30 or 60 days. So
Second phase.
that would be the on the big lots that would go up there. One of the biggest things that right now is going full blast are the solar panels. We've been issuing solar panels. As a matter of fact, I was doing some calculation, and I can't remember. I should have brought my notes. I can't remember how many permits we've issued, but we've issued a lot of permits there. I think in permits for this fiscal year, I have to say that we're somewhere within 150 to maybe 180,000 in revenues that the development services have received. That's just on permits on the building side. That's not counting what planning has been bringing in. So Development service, you know, we're keeping busy in development services. We're issuing a lot of permits, there's a lot of work that's going on. Mostly right now, like I said, there's a lot of solar panels. Along with the solar panels, there's a lot of upgrading of electrical service panels. In that itself, we've also brought in quite a few dollars. And that's good for the community as well, because what that does, it takes away the threat of fire hazard, excuse me, and health safety. So that puts the residents in a safer status. So there's a lot of work that's being done. We have a lot of interest. We have commercial that's coming in, or at least they're looking. If we can work things out, and then I think that they'll be coming in.
But how can you finalize anything without an engineer?
Well, and it's important, it's true. But if you think back, 10 years, we didn't have a permanent engineer on board. Remember,
what did you do?
We had an engineer, a consultant that was on
Right,
board.
that you contracted out.
Yeah, it was contracted
But you
out.
cannot afford to pay for a contracted out
Well,
engineer.
and that's the thing, is that out of the fees, if somebody comes in and they bring you a set of plans, then they're gonna pay for plan review from the engineer. From that's where you get your monies to pay the engineer to review those plans, so.
That's what I've been waiting to hear from somebody say. I already am familiar with the concept. As a matter of fact, years ago, I asked the planning director then, if an investor really wants their project to move forward, and you ask them, hey, we can go through the city route, the regular city route, or if you want, we can contract an engineer to finalize the plans, it's gonna cost you more times than not, you're gonna have that investor going, then give it to that engineer, and I'm willing to pay more now, because if this thing doesn't move fast enough, I'm gonna have to end up paying more at the long run.
And
So,
you do have a good point there, because what happens is then that engineer you have on contract, he will concentrate on that project.
Yes.
While when you have an engineer on board and staff, then he's got
Yes.
many different projects he's
So-
got to look at.
So
it's
if you
a
check
lot
with
slower.
with your investors, if they're willing to fork over additional monies to contract an engineer, you should do so. Yes, sir.
Sure. So are you saying that the private sector moves faster than the public sector?
Always has.
I'm just
Oh,
joking. That was a joke. That was a joke. I just want to add something because of Grand Plaza. There is a huge white elephant in the room with regards to Grand Plaza. There's $1.8 million that we owe Grand Plaza because of the north side of Second Street that was done, which we were supposed to be reimbursed by that airport grant that we lost. And so,
The city lost the grant
yeah.
for the airport?
Yeah.
For
$9
the
million
expansion,
grant.
the improvement?
Yeah. It was a $9 million grant that they were gonna get for, don't ask me how.
Well,
But-
Gun Club's already gone.
But that was lost, that grant was lost, and that were the monies that were gonna be used to pay back Grand Plaza for doing Second Street. So Grand Plaza now is wanting the city to give them those funds, and the city doesn't have them. And my understanding is Grand Plaza will not move forward until the city pays these monies. And I guess, and I don't want to be the bearer of bad news here, but we have that. We have our EDA, $3 million that we're going to owe because of Town Center coming up within, I think, 8 months or so. So, I mean, it's just bad news after bad news hitting the city right now. So, like I said, it's not just how deep are we in it now, 2.5 or in the red. It's how deep we're going to be, because all these things are coming at us very, very quickly. And so I guess, the bearer of bad news, I don't want me, hopefully I can bring you guys good news one of these days.
No,
but-
back then, I remember with the Grand Plaza, they were supposed to pay for the gun club.
Actually, the gun club, because there's, the RDA was obviously disbanded and they can't actually do anything with it until RDA is completely finished, because it's still an RDA property. So they can't even buy it. I have asked that question before, they owe this property, why not purchase it? Because they can't, because RDA owns it. So, anyways, but just wanted to let you guys know more bad news.
Thank you.
Well, if I may just share, a little bit of good news with your bad news. The project over on Cole Road that belongs to,
The enterprise, you're talking about the,
Cole and,
Rancho Frontera?
no.
The
but it
industrial?
tracks. I just can't remember.
The industrial complex?
The one
town
you're talking
center?
about right now.
town center, town center.
Town
The
center.
town
Oh, the
center.
town center.
I did get a call from a contractor in regard to the plans to start building the greenhouse.
Oh, they're still on that greenhouse?
Well,
Okay.
I got a call about maybe 2-3 weeks ago
Okay.
that they had some questions on it. So that maybe could be saved, I guess, if I don't know how many jobs it will create, but
At this point, the last meeting we had with EDA, Mr. Will Marshall,
Uh-huh.
correct? And Esperanza Colio from the county. We did have a conference call with Mr. Marshall, and he, I think we owe him like 800 jobs at Town Center. But he said as long as we create something, but I mean, the time, it's almost, I think we're like 8-9 months away. I mean, if we can create some jobs within here, now and then, he might, let us pass on the $3 million, but I see it kind of, 8 months go by like that, and I don't see anything happening. So, like I said, I was trying to lower fees and everything to help, all these people come in, and I do notice that there's more movement. I have asked you, and you say, yeah, there's definitely people coming in because they've heard fees are lowered, but for that area, in particular, I mean, we're either gonna owe them $3 million, or we gotta get something going there, hopefully, but.
well, we're hoping that the contractor will move forward and put up
There's
the license.
there's some people that say that we could sue the previous owner, Kevin Smith, but he doesn't even own that property anymore. So I don't think that's possible.
I have a question for Ms. Morales. How much, when you said mixed use downtown,
Mhm.
are you proposing to do housing and retail, or are you
Yes.
guys promoting that?
It's not so much that we're promoting, it's interest that some of the property owners downtown have seen. I guess with the economy, the way it is, they're trying to promote, see how they can build up their revenue, and one of the ways would be is to renovate the second story of their building and convert that into residential. We don't have that in our zoning ordinance, not zoned for that, but it could be through probably a CUP that could be approved. That would be one of the projects that would come through the planning commission and through the city council for approval for that, once they're ready. I've had 3 property owners already that did approach me, and they're looking at that possibility. So, there's interest there.
Years ago, there was one project that was trying to come in with that concept. That was 3 or
The old pennies?
4 or 5 years, no, where that parking lot is, I think.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Now, that was that many years ago, so since then, the city council, I mean, not the city council, the planning commission has not adopted a mixed-use zoning?
They have
What would it take for the current planning department to present for approval a mixed use for downtown?
Chair, can I just add real quick, and for the members, I am actually the one promoting that. Mr. Osejo is the first guy that I contacted personally because most downtowns are going to mixed use. That's kind of the future of most downtowns. One of the projects is on the corner of where Banco America, which it's Banco America on the other contra esquina, o sea, the other side, where the cell phone place is now. So there's a lot of the second story that can be used for residential, senior apartments or whatever, what have you. And I think it's important that this goes through planning. Maybe one of you guys wants to put it on the agenda and then kick it up to the city council. I will definitely support this mixed use as something that has to be done. If I'm not mistaken, on the corner of Rockwood and Second Street, the empty lot there, isn't someone trying to do mixed use there?
They're trying to, over in the corner of Heber and Second Street,
Correct.
they came in and they were gonna build a shell, commercial. Then, about a month, 2 months ago, the owner called me and asked me whether we'd be interested in doing mixed use. So I told him that, we would look at whatever projects they have, and mixed use was one of the things that the city has been looking at, possibly doing downtown. Calexico used to have mixed use in the past. There was quite a bit of that. So I don't see where there would be a problem. But again, there would have to be either a CUP or a zone change.
Do you need a project to be unfolding in order for it to be going before planning, or can it be done now?
Well, it can be done. It's something that the consultant that was working on the zoning was proposing to do. They were working, as a matter, I think it's Brian Mooney was working. That goes all the way back to when Armando was on board. And for whatever reason, it kind of fell through. It came to a dead stop, and he never completed the zoning. So it would be something that would have to be picked up and finished, so that we could have that in our zoning.
Well, I would say this is a good time. If there's no project on your desk for it to go through planning and council, what a great opportunity for it to go through planning and council before the project hits your desk.
Well, what we can do is we can look into it and see what it takes to go ahead and complete that. Besides money, then we would need to see how far along it is.
How much money could you need? Because it's something that you and staff would be working on.
Well, you would need a consultant to do that. I mean,
An engineer.
There's steps. But we can look into that and see what.
I have a question for Mr. Morales.
I think it's real simple. You guys vote on it, we vote on it, we get it through. What's so difficult about that? I just wanted to add that Imperial has this huge project right now. I think it's 180 apartments, and it's mixed use. It's everybody's. I think the bottom's going to be commercial, and that's where the future is going. And like Mr. Romero said, and I would applaud you guys if you guys were to get that going, because it behooves us to get this done. So when they come to you and say, hey, by the way, what do you think of mixed use? So hey, it's ready to go. What do you want to do? Versus just waiting for the project to get there and then saying, well, the people just leave. They go to another city, so,
Question for you, Mr. Morales. When you're looking into
Thank you,
that, is there any way you could look into like possibly, my question is this, by Grant and Cloak, where the fire department is stationed to, or whatever it may be, there's no markets over there, like small markets. So let's say I wanted to open up a market there. How difficult would it be for me to open up like a small grocery store for the people in that area, so they don't have to drive all the way to Food for Less, or, because also,
Do a neighborhood.
yeah, a little neighborhood store type of
There's a
thing.
small market on Cloak and 98. Two of them.
Yeah, the AM, PM, and the Chevron. But let's say like Tony's Market. Can somebody open, like a little mama papa store, can somebody open one up there, or is it zoned for that? Is it not
Well,
zoned
it's
for
zoned
that?
residential, but there's nothing to say that if a project comes in and it's a project that's going to work, that there couldn't be again, we go with a conditional use permit to do that. That would fall upon this committee here, or commission, excuse me, to look at that project and see whether that's something that'd be viable. There is some vacant land that the Housing Authority owns over on Grant, and I forget what the name of this.
And how long will it take for them to open that store? That's the other question, because like Mr. Rao said, it takes forever to get something like that approved by the planning commission, then you gotta go to the council, and then, because I was talking to that guy that opened up that Vietnamese restaurant, he said it took him almost a year to open up. Or the people on Fifth Street, the Vietnamese guy said it took him almost 8 months to open up a restaurant that was a pre-existing location of a restaurant. So why is it taking these people so long?
Well, and that project right there, that was a project where the owners started with one idea, and then they started growing, and then, oh, by the way, we want to do this. And so when you start doing that, when you're really not sure exactly what is it that you want, then you take 3 steps forward, and then you got to take either 1 or 2 steps backwards, and then to start all over again. And unfortunately, that's what happened there. We did help them as much as we could. We went out there, and we, between staff, the inspector, we walked them through it and to tell them what had to be done. But sometimes, if they're really not sure what they want, that's when it takes the longest. But in a CUP, it shouldn't take that long. I would say within maybe 3-4 months, it should go through. And it's something that could be a concept while they're working on their plans and doing the thing for building the project. It could start going through a CUP. So, I mean, we're willing to work with the people, and I think we try to give a helping hand when they come in and try to get these projects, because we want to see businesses open up as much as everybody else, because that helps us too. That with the permits and the inspections and all that, that brings revenue into the city.
The planning for residentials, it eventually evolved to making sure that there was a park for those residents, those future residents of that residential district. Can't something be included where there's an opportunity for a small, no, it's even mixed use for that complex, but for a small mom and pop commercial facility?
Yeah, that would be no problem. I mean, to have a small business.
But as a conditional to a proposed plan being included in
I'm not sure
it?
with the residential, that would be
Eh?
more in commercial.
No
to-
what?
To put a small market.
No what?
On,
It's not what?
on the residential. Yeah, but let's say right there in the corner of.
It is?
That belongs to the
It
housing
is.
authority. Yeah. It would have to go through a CUP.
Well, it'd be good. Anyway, anything else on that? Okay, we'll go to the next item really quick, West Second Street Bridge,
Okay,
because we're going to come back with some of these items. Or
there's a report that was put together by the city manager's office. And it covers.
on the bridge?
On the bridge. The plans have been prepared.
Where's the city logo on this thing? How do you know somebody else didn't prepare it? Go ahead. Okay, since this is a summary for the rest of the items, let me ask you something, Mr. Morales.
Yes, sir.
I was present, I was fortunate to be invited with a meeting with GSA, and as chair of the Economic Development Committee for the Calexico Chamber of Commerce. And I was floored that nobody from staff, from planning, was present. I know that a couple of council members were present and the acting city manager, but planning, to me, or the engineer, which we don't have one, would have been much more appropriate. Now, one of the things that, in case planning didn't know, what GSA is going to do in their due course of improvements for the downtown port of entry is that if they have to infringe on any currently owned city property that might have curb streets and gutters, lights, whatever it is that they would expect that their project return whatever they undo or destroy during their improvements, that it go back to its original condition, and even they would accept improvements within reason. Nobody was there. How can you ask for something? Here's an opportunity for the city of Calexico to jump at an opportunity to improve without spending one penny. And nobody was present. You didn't know anything about this meeting?
I wasn't invited.
Mr. Vasquez? You got the invitation? You should have been there.
You got an
It-
invitation?
I mean, I was just shaking my head. I could not believe that such a vital project that's coming into the city of Calexico, though it's on its borders, south border, southern border, with so much millions of dollars that's going to be spent, where the city of Calexico would have had an incredible opportunity to improve its, I would say, make it more aesthetically pleasing as you're either leaving or entering the city and the country, the state, the county, everything. And nobody was there.
What I can do is I can put in a request to the city manager that next, and I think he's the one that gets the invitation, that the planning commission
But
would like to be informed and be part of
Well,
the meetings.
the persons that were there, except for a few, with all due respect, elected officials, is that the persons that were there are the ones that put the elbow grease into projects. People from the ID, everywhere else, they were present. Several reps of GSA from the different areas of their governance, or whatever it may be, county, but nobody from the city. And yet, it is on our backyard.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you.
So one of the things that they're going to do is that they might be tearing up part of some of the line, if you might say, what borders GSA property versus City of Calexico. Again, I don't know if they have received any feedback or not from the City of Calexico, how they want that return, what condition they want to return into, if not at the original state. There's going to be a power pole going over 111 Imperial Avenue on the south side of 2nd Street. There's going to be like a arc of some sort. It's not going to be pleasant, because it has to go over the rail, high enough for the train obviously to go under. Then brought over, it'll go over first, Imperial Avenue, that goes into Mexicali or comes back from Mexicali, and it'll come down on that empty lot. And then from there, they're going to dig trenches to bring it underground all the way to their facility, whatever path it may take. They talked about the issue of mixed use by the city of Calexico to promote economic development, an economic boom for the downtown Calexico. They talked about has there ever been any mention of a parking structure? It was something that was brought up some years ago and never materialized. Well, RDA was still, and RDA could have built it, and it didn't, for the benefit of the general fund. They talked about tearing up, in a way, the center of 2nd Street, where they would tear up the pavement and put the power lines in there. And although there's a lot of disagreement that 2nd Street is now one way, now it may not be such a bad idea if that were ever come to be, but where the center is now, since you couldn't put anything over it, where you could put like landscaping and the cars would park at the middle, at the center, with the angle parking and the cars going along, I guess, near the buildings. And then eventually they would get to, the power line would actually go to its proposed destination. A lot of, this is just of the few things that was being discussed. And obviously, nobody was present to speak on behalf of the city of Calexico. It would be behoof of your department, planning or building, is to insist on the acting city manager that on the next meeting for you guys to be present, since you are the ones that are on it on a day-to-day basis. And then you can submit suggestions, recommendations whatsoever, not only to the acting city manager, but to the city council, if not the planning commission. I saw this thing on the West Second Street Bridge. I was going to see what you were to say, and that was going to trigger me off from what I just said right now. But it was really, really disappointing. I did ask if the invitations went out to personnel of the city, and they said yes. But obviously, they would not provide any names. So please make a serious point of being there. It is extremely important for the city.
Yes, I agree.
Commissioners, anything else that you want to touch on that they have here that we can just wait until they have money to do something with? I will ask one thing, and this is from the past. We already approved the minutes, and I was going to make a comment on it. The presentation that was done for the billboard said that it passed the PRC, the what?
PRC.
The PRC? But yet, fire was not in agreement. So how can you make a unilateral statement that, in fact, your statement here says that there was no what? What's that term that you guys use? No adverse
Comments?
comments? When there was adverse comments.
Well, fire was there. The individual that opposed it wasn't there. The opposed the project wasn't there, but they had a representative. That's one of the biggest issues that we have is a lot of times, especially with fire is usually pretty good. We have our fire and attending the PRCs. If nothing else, the fire inspector is usually always there. The fire chief is rarely ever there, and I know he has other commitments, so that's why he sends his fire inspector. In my conversation with him, I think on that day, he had gone to San Diego to pick up a vehicle or something, but he was out of town on that day. So they sent another individual, I forget who that was. Do you remember who it was, Mark? Contreras? Yeah, I think Contreras. So there was representative. Unfortunately, he didn't comment according to what the other staff wanted, but they were there. Police is where we have issues sometimes where nobody will show up and give their comments. We do send a comment sheet to the different departments. A lot of times, we don't get a response from them. Sometimes they'll attend the meeting and they won't give us their comment sheet, and so we have to go by, what they already say. But, everybody is invited. So if they don't show, then really, they really can't give a comment on it.
Well, at least say no adverse comments, remarks, with the exception of the fire or police that weren't present. Also, if maybe at the next meeting, you can provide a set of the planning commission bylaws at the next meeting.
We don't have bylaws.
So we do need to establish them?
We need to, I went ahead and maybe that's something that we can start working on. We have some samples. and
City
we can
attorney,
bring
isn't
back-
that something that is,
Generally, your code does provide some guidance, but if you want more details, some sort of bylaws that would govern that would be the appropriate, mechanism to do so. So,
do we need bylaws? Yes, of course. Yes. It's unanimous.
How much are those, public agencies?
It's, I'll donate the paper and I'll put the cartridge.
We don't need an engineer
and
for
then too, we're
that.
also looking at doing some AB 1234, the ethics training. We'll be doing, Gabby will be reaching out to you. By
It's
state
not,
law,
it's not every year, it's every 2 years.
every 2 years, correct. I
We
understand.
did that last year.
Okay, I understand some folks might need it, so whoever hasn't done the training 2 years will be scheduling some.
You did it, didn't you? Last year?
I did.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
you should have done it, yeah, we should have done
That's
it.
good. Okay, that's good, then you guys are up to date then. Makes it
Okay.
easier for us.
Without the bylaw, I did.
So can you bring a blank sheet of paper that says bylaws? None.
I'll do better than that. We have samples from other cities. I'll bring that over, and then we can start with that.
Copy the ones from Measure H, highlighted.
Yes.
Anything else, anybody?
The 3 pages bylaw is good now. 3 pages.
3 pages, okay. It can be as long as you guys want it.
Even if you say there, whatever the council says.
Okay.
Anything else?
I have a question regarding this report. Maybe Mark or Ralph, or maybe Councilman Real knows about it. On the issue of the fire station, it says relocating fire station number 1, administrative office, relocating where?
They
Oh,
got
to the
relocated
courthouse?
to over to the courthouse.
Okay.
Yeah.
But didn't we just buy them porta potties or something, or porta
Yeah,
showers or something?
My understanding is that, they got porta potty. My understanding is there's.
How are you going to,
Pay for them.
yeah,
Go ahead.
Councilman Real, please.
Yeah, sir.
Well, first of all,
fund
that's,
it, that's what I was gonna.
that was my doing. I don't know if I did a good thing or a bad thing, but a firefighter called me and said, "Have you seen our installations? You know, we've had them like that for 10 years. Nobody's done anything about them." So I go over there. They were horrible. Unfortunately, I walk down here and I get Chuck Cortez to walk over there with me and see it. Well, he says, now that I saw it, I gotta red tag it. I mean, this place it should be condemned. It's got mold, it's got all kinds of, and so I said, so you mean to tell me for 10 years, this bathroom has been this way and nobody's ever done anything about it? He says, that's exactly what they were telling me. So unfortunately, we had to spend some money on getting them showers and toilets because they were, to be honest with you, it was ridiculous the way, and your husband works there. I mean, how it went like that 10 years or more is just ridiculous. But as far as there is something, I guess the city manager wanted to relocate them over there for now because of the mold, and there could be some health issues involved with keeping them there. So as far as I know, that's what's in the oncoming because of this issue. So it's just kind of preventing a lawsuit in the future of some type or something like that. So
But what happened to that proposed site over there on 98 and Andrade?
I guess the time travel study was done, and as far as I know, everything's good to go. Only problem now is that I don't think the $7 million that is allocated for it's going to be enough. I'm personally working on a few companies that could come in and try and do a private-public partnership and get something done for us, but if we do it ourselves, $7 million is not going to cut it. No way.
I'll tell you that about 4 years ago, this was brought to light. Nick Servín was having discussions with the 3P concept, and it was moving forward, and it died. Just like that.
Why did it die, dude?
It wasn't,
Administrative issues.
Okay.
let's just say administration official, that's good.
Okay, because, I mean, honestly, I've looked at it every single way. There's no, unless we do a PPP, there's no way we're gonna build the fire department we need with the $7 million. And, I mean, it's just not gonna happen.
Well, what was proposed at that time is that it was becoming more common for the private entity or the private community get involved in these investments and let the government entity lease from them. And that they would be able to do it at a reasonable return, obviously if it's for however how many years. And then it would be made it would become affordable.
Correct. And that's something
And
that
then
that's something that I'm working on my spare time, is trying to find at least 3 companies that can do some bids on the
Call
on
next
the
set of
fire
meeting and give you some
department,
ideas.
and see if that can work, because other than that, we're not gonna build it ourselves for 7 million. Just the property itself is gonna be some money, so. That's all I know about that there.
So in the meantime, our firefighters are still gonna be working out of that firehouse full of violations?
No, my,
Well, I
from
mean, since when do we know about this mold?
10 years ago.
And, I mean, no, you.
Me, since I took the walk down there. I mean,
When
when
was
I,
that?
I was probably in about 3 months in council.
And the guy's still sleeping 24 hours on those headquarters, exposing their lives and probably taking
Just-
some of those, you know.
Yeah, no, definitely.
danger
And
things
not just
home to
that,
their-
but
to their
I don't know,
kids.
I don't know if you know this, but
Well, isn't
it's a
that,
f-
I mean, isn't relocating them like yesterday a lot cheaper than having a lawsuit?
Of course, yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, a Clause A lawsuit.
Definitely. Not just that, but I don't know if, and Mr.
I mean, should we ask our
Mr.
city attorney?
Mr. Cortez also said it's a fire hazard. They don't even know how where to escape. There's no windows on the 2nd story. That place catches on fire. I mean, it's a death trap.
Well, that's a
there's a
previous
There
code.
is a window, a pop-up.
No, nobody's gonna fit through those windows.
That's a previous code thing, but
It's no bigger than this.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that has nothing to do with the environmental
Correct.
violations that we have on the bottom floor, and it's, you know, all those exposures that they have.
have
Not
you
to
guys-
mention, you know, one bathroom for so many firefighters, and then they still have to share with the executive assistant.
And like I said, you know,
have you guys tested the mold?
and like I said, I'm the one that unfortunately, or fortunately, you know, saw it and brought it out to light. I just figured, you know, somebody has to do something about it.
Yeah.
I know that the city manager hasn't moved forward on this, but I think you're right. This is something that has to be done as soon as possible.
Have you guys tested the mold?
We
I
don't
mean,
have,
there's different
Yeah.
varieties of
doesn't it
mold,
cost
and
money to test mold?
It's like $150 to send it to a lab. But I mean, the reason I ask is if it's really toxic, you are exposing those guys to long-term
Correct.
hazards.
What does it take to just remove it and do renovation there, you know?
The last figures were like $1.5 million. $1.5 million to do.
To remodel it.
To remodel it, yeah, it's, and if you already have the monies to start to build a new fire department, it just doesn't make sense to remodel that one, to be honest with you.
Can you guys do mold remediation and request some type of grant or something?
The city cannot get grants right now because we don't have any,
Can-
we don't have our
Just-
audits done,
Just
so.
move them. It's a lot
Yeah,
cheaper.
for now, I think that's gonna be the best thing, just to move them out, and,
Once you guys-
and you're right, we do have to get, like I said, I mean, we do have to get somebody to start building this new fire department. I mean, the monies are there, and,
We have a couple of trailers, don't we, over by the water plant? Just bring them over.
Yeah, why don't you give them the PD command center that has a shower and a bathroom?
we need to get something built. I mean, if we put, you know what, if we bring those trailers over here, 10 years later, they're still gonna be in the trailers.
If you put them in the courthouse, where are they gonna shower at?
They got some a mobile bathroom that has showers and everything. That's what was just bought recently.
And
So
where are they gonna cook? They gotta stay there 24 hours a day.
they have Rosa's hometown buffet. They have a few places to go to. I don't think they have a kitchen, do they? Do they? Oh, yeah, they do,
They're
huh?
not confined to be at the station. They can go out
But
and
they
buy their
usually,
food.
they usually cook in there.
Some, yeah.
So
Well,
anyways, yeah, I mean, something has to be done.
Are you
So
gonna give them money for their meals?
Jason.
You're taking their kitchen away.
yeah, I don't think we can do that right now with the financial
The
crisis.
city is broke.
We'll give them flautas. No, can't even do that either. We already had an accident.
We'll take turns cooking for them. Starting Josie.
Any- Anything else?
Hey, but let's do some fundraising, man, and let's take care of this
Can-
thing right away, man.
Can we do some type of fundraising or announce at the council meeting? I
Let's do a
mean,
big fundraising, great, this is
fill the boot.
unbelievable.
Ralph, just on the Cordova, I know we put together those bonds to improve the Cordova Park together with
That was
the.
not approved.
Yeah, it was to finish the second phase of the Cordova Park.
Cordova was approved
Uh-huh,
for a bond?
yeah. And, well,
I
Mr.
didn't get
Sedvin
I
was the
didn't get
one,
qualified for it.
again, once again, with that project.
I would have to do some research on that and see
you?
whatever happened to that.
Yeah,
There was,
Measure H money?
so when I got on council, there was, there was $1.6 million allocated for Cordova Park, and then $250,000 for Heber, and $250,000 for Rockwood, which is this one here. So those were the monies that could be, at that point, I had talked to the interim city manager. He had said that he could use the $250,000 from this park and Heber Park to bring it up to about 2.1, 2.2 for Cordova.
Why ignore two parks to?
Well, not ignore the parks, but just to finish off Cordova, because that's kind of
but
what.
isn't that going against the wishes of the Measure H?
So
And-
No, because they were CDBG funds.
No,
The
no, no, no.
the $250,000 that were allocated for Heber and Rockwood Park were CDBG funds. They weren't
From the Measure H.
Measure H.
Okay.
Measure H were the 1.6 that
For
were
the
already
Cordova,
over there.
right.
So anyways, he said, we're gonna do the 1.6, or we use a 2.1 or 2.2. But as of right now, from last week, my conversation with Eduardo Gutierrez is everything's gone. There's nothing
What do you
left.
mean everything's gone?
The monies is gone.
So the bonds are?
Yes, they were overspent twice, Measure
So
H bonds.
the bonds, the city lost the bonds.
No, they spent it,
The monies were received, the monies were spent.
correct.
As far as where, that's a different issue.
But we still have the bonds in place, right?
No. Yeah,
No. Well,
the
the-
obligations,
The
yes.
obligations
Yeah,
are there.
obligations,
The
yeah, but the
obligations
money's
are in place.
spent. Yeah. And he's working on the CDBG monies. He's working on the $250,000 that were allocated.
That's one of the problems, like Measure H.
Is that
The-
the same situation with the pool?
Well, no, the pool's
Might
money,
as well just ask the city council. Never mind.
Well-
Thank you.
All right,
real quick,
Members of this
he's
committee.
still, just to give you guys a little bit of glimpse of hope, he's looking at the $250,000 allocated for Rockwood and Heber, so he thinks those might be still there. So, because they were CDBG monies, but right now, because the housing is being audited, they're frozen. So they might still be there, but for now, we can't use them, put it to you that way.
thus the word might.
Might, yes.
Anything else? So when's our next meeting, Ralph? Or Mark?
Next meeting is in 2 weeks,
It is? We won't get a cancellation?
not from me,
Mark, we won't get a cancellation?
the 20.
You're gonna shoot for it? Then-
There's even no engineer.
Next meeting is on the 22nd.
Okay.
Andy, thank you for coming and give us all this information.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Okay, moved in second. 8:02.